Welcome to the postcast. The Utah Jazz fall tonight to the LA Clippers 105-104 and get screwed by 3 blind mice. No, I'm just kidding. But I actually kind of feel that way right now. I have very rarely ever talked about officiating on this thing, but I really thought tonight, and maybe I'm going to be dead wrong if I review the film, but I feel that there were 3 calls late in this game that I didn't see them. Chauncey Billups' 3 free throws that were as big as anything in this game was a flat out. He stuck his left leg out. We sat in the referees meeting this year. They told us that is an offensive foul now. Dick Pavetta evidently has been in the league so darn long he forgot they changed the rules. I'm pissed.
Or he didn't make the meeting.
He missed the meeting evidently. And if I bang the table a few more times, the camera will see doing that. And then the other ones are somewhat suspect, but there's a loose ball foul on Damari Carroll up top, which I didn't see it, and I don't remember the third one, but I didn't see it. I mean, this one's hard to swallow.
It really is, considering the fact that the Jazz played awfully, awfully well and deserved to win this basketball game. You just don't want to remember something like that as though that was the reason the Jazz lost. But they ended up getting in a situation there late in the ball game where the momentum had changed, and the Jazz just couldn't put the fire out. But it was a well-played basketball game, and it was fun to watch. But man, the Jazz just couldn't put them away.
Well, there's other things more than officiating. Obviously, we'll talk about that. But the Jazz do allow 32 points in the fourth quarter. You really can't allow 30 points twice in a ball game and expect to win. They allow 32 points in the second quarter. They allow 32 points in the fourth quarter. The young kids open up the fourth quarter, and the momentum started at that point. Yeah. We kind of saw it. Chris Paul checked back in the game, a 16-7 run by the Clippers. Then by the time Chris Paul checks in, there's really nobody better in this league at conducting a game late. He sits up top, runs that high pick and roll. Mm-hmm. He squirted to the basket twice late with 2 fabulous plays, and the Jazz just, they're spread out to the end. They're I thought the Jazz really did about as well as they could defensively on that. Chris Paul's just really good, and he made the plays.
Well, the Jazz could defend that play either 2 ways, and one is that Jordan's going out setting that screen. So there's no reason for Al Jefferson to go that far out with him, and because he's not going to take any shots from out there. So probably been better for him to hang around down toward the paint and force Chris Paul to either pull up and shoot a jump shot or get rid of the basketball. But Al didn't. He let Chris Paul turn the corner, and that happened twice. And those were big plays there because Chris Paul is so good at getting to the hole.
I'm not sure Derek Favors would have been in the game otherwise, but there's just a huge difference not having Favors there to come over on the weak side help in a lot. But the Jazz play well tonight. They offensively. The other one. Again, put the officiating away. You only scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. The Clippers definitely made some defensive adjustments. The Jazz shoot 66% in the first half. In the second half, the Jazz shoot 47%, which isn't bad. They hit 5 of 11 threes, but you can just tell the Clippers did a better job defensively. Phil Johnson joined us at a point was like, hey, they're really upping these guys, and the Jazz didn't execute nearly as well in the second half as they did in the first half.
You could tell because as Phil and I was talking about the points in the paint there and how the Jazz really dominated the points in the paint there in their first half. They had 40. Early in the third quarter, they had 40, and then early in the fourth quarter, they still had 40. So things started to change from that standpoint. The field goal percentage started to go down a little bit. The Jazz still ended up shooting 56% from the field, but lose. And you just don't like to look at a stat sheet like that and see that great of an offensive effort with great shots, great percentage, and you still end up losing the ball game. There's not anything on this stat sheet that the Jazz didn't do better than the 9 for 20 from the three-point line. Both teams had 42 field goals. Rebounding edge goes to Utah. Assists 25 to 19. So you wonder, okay, where did they win the basketball game at? 17 for 24 from the free throw line.
I don't have a fourth quarter play-by-play, and I'd have to go back and look at a fourth quarter play-by-play. Maybe Justin can give me the fourth quarter sheets. But
I have a fourth quarter stat here.
Chris Paul in that fourth quarter has 6 points, 2 assists. The Jazz didn't make a lot of offensive plays in that fourth quarter. They're playing from ahead, and you got to get stops. But the other thing you can do in that fourth quarter is try to get some offensive plays. And if you look at it here, the Jazz lead this game 94-91 when Big Al gets that dunk and there's a timeout. Millsap scores at 96-93 on a play that completely broke down. He goes one-on-one and beats Blake. That's the Jazz last field goal at the 2:47 mark.
But the big play was during that span, and I'm sure the play-by-play is short here, but was Crawford making that dead in the corner 3-point shot. They counted it 2 or 3?
That made it 2. That made it 94-93. Millsap answers on the next possession. Jazz go back up 3. They don't get – Mo Williams hits a 3-angle left to make it 99-97, and the Jazz just in the final 129, the Jazz don't score. They score 1 field goal in the final 2:49. They score 2 field goals in the final 3:57, and they score 4 field goals in the final 6:11. So again, as much as I opened this, the way every Jazz fan feels, it's also on you a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you've got to close out a ball game and win it. And the biggest difference between the Clippers and the Jazz, they have Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Superstars win in this league.
Superstars win, and you know they're going to get calls, and they can make plays, they can make things happen. Jazz don't have that kind of player, but collectively they absolutely played a well-played basketball game here tonight.
Jazz played much better tonight. A win would have been enormous. Is a loss set them back, or can they still gain out of this win tonight?
I don't think so, David. And you look at the way things are going here in the West. You know, the Jazz will now be under 500. They have 2 more home games here at home before going out on the road. But Denver's not playing exceptionally well, and the Lakers are flat out terrible right now. So they lose their first game here at home, but you know, you just keep fighting. You know, who knows what might happen.
On behalf of Ron Boone, I'm David Locke. Jazz lose it tonight to the LA Clippers. Final score tonight, 105-104 turned out to be the final. 105-104 the final. On behalf of Ron, I'm David. Thanks for listening to Postcast.